Well, London is a place where most of the action is taking place in the energy world. It's the center for financial flows. It's the center for major energy companies sitting and making decisions. It's also center for the talent for the energy industry. Therefore, we felt that there was a gap in this beautiful city to discuss in an exclusive setting what's happening in the world, how it's going to affect our industry, other stakeholders, and whether we also have some solutions and some recommendations coming out. This can be done not in big conferences or roundtables. You have to have an exclusive setting where you don't feel any constraint whether what you say will be hitting the headlines tomorrow. So it has to be in a discreet, strictly confidential environment. And also bring together the real peers, not everybody, but those who matter in the energy world. Well, whatever is on the agenda of decision makers in the energy world will be on top of our agenda as well. And this inaugural meeting, we want to kick off by looking at the major issue, which is scarcity versus abundance in energy world, and China. That's the power that is going to affect everything we do in the energy field. It is already becoming an energy superpower, not as a producer, but consumer, investor, and also center, focus of geopolitical considerations in the world. But of course, we will not stop here. There are other burning issues that we have to address, like renewable revolution, how we are going to finance it, what will be the implications for the conventional fuels. We'll also look at the nuclear industry. Are we going to have a renaissance in nuclear industry? Or, as it's happening in the West, especially in Europe, it's going to decline. And we'll look at the shale gas, tight oil, the future of OPEC, and also whether consumer-producer dialogue is going to survive. Would there be more geopolitical tensions in our world? You know, strategic choke points from Malacca Strait to Bosphorus, the Strait of Hormuz. And we will look at all these key issues that have a bearing on decision-making as well as policy-making processes. So we have to be relevant and valuable to our members so that we will stay in the game and we will become the main focus for such high-level exchanges between decision-makers. Well, Russia is by definition the energy superpower. It is the largest producer of hydrocarbons in the world. In terms of reserves, production, and exports, it's a key actor to reckon with. Although US is coming behind, and in terms of production, it is the number one now in oil production, and followed by Russia and Saudi Arabia. But Russia will never lose its significance as a major energy producer and shaper of the world markets. Whereas China is emerging as the largest energy market in the world. It's no wonder because it's 1.4 billion population, a huge economy, increasingly competitive on the international scale. And therefore, China and Russia will be working together, it seems. And also geopolitically, there is a marriage of convenience between the two. I wouldn't say a strategic alliance or partnership, but it's more marriage of convenience. Because there are certain areas where Russian and Chinese interests are not converging, especially, let's say, in Central Asia, in Russian Far East. And China's visionary Belt and Road Initiative is causing some concern in Russia as well. Therefore, in the foreseeable future, I expect China and Russia to collaborate in many areas, geopolitically, energy-wise, also economy. But longer-term perspectives are yet to be seen, how it's going to evolve. Iran is also energy giant. It has the world's second largest natural gas reserves and fourth largest oil reserves in the world. But because of what happened in this country over the past 3-4 decades, Iran is lagging behind in capitalizing on this huge reserves and resources it has. But still, it's a major producer in OPEC in terms of crude oil, and it's also a major producer of gas, unable still to export it except to Turkey and Iraq, small amounts. And therefore, there is a huge potential for unlocking in Iran, but it's not going to happen soon. And the reimposition of US sanctions will not help this as well. But Iran still has its own commercial and political relationships with China, India, Japan, Taiwan. So it's not going to disappear from the energy scene, but its life will be a little bit more difficult than it used to be because Iran desperately needs more revenues from hydrocarbon export, and it's not coming. Well, we should first establish the facts. I mean, OPEC controls 44% of the world oil markets. And without collaboration from Russia and other CIS countries and some non-OPEC countries, it is not easy for OPEC to have the same impact on the international oil markets as it used to be in 70s and 80s. But still, 40%, 44% is a significant amount. What happens now is that there is some division within OPEC. Saudi Arabia is leading the way. Iran is not happy about that. Venezuela, Algeria, Libya, they are not happy about that. And also Qatar, if you have noticed, starting from 1st January 2019, Qatar pulled out of OPEC, saying that we have no influence here. It's the Saudis and Russians now are making the decisions. Then the US. What will be the US impact? Because now US is producing about 13 million barrels per day of oil. That's more than Russia and Saudi Arabia. If it is able to export more and more, it's tight oil, I think we are going to have a serious confrontation between OPEC plus Russia versus the United States. But the oil prices, in my opinion, will not go up so fast as it used to be in the past because we had fluctuations from $30 to $150 almost in the past. And I think my guess is that we will be in the band of $60 to $70 because you have lots of spare capacity in Saudi Arabia and the United States. So in short, OPEC influence is still strong in the oil markets, but it's not the only player. So you shouldn't discount US in this regard. One of the objectives of London Energy Club is to make sure that we understand each other. We gain deeper insight into each other's positions, concerns, and priorities. And having around the table the major oil and gas corporations, renewables, nuclear, law firms, consultancy groups, financial groups, I think provide a unique opportunity for these people to put minds together. Perhaps they don't have the same opportunity outside the room to talk so often among themselves. So my clear message is that more information, more strategic intelligence, and more dialogue will help us reach right decisions so that we will be able to mitigate the risks, grab the opportunities. And therefore, I think the London Energy Club is going to play a very influential role over the long term. It's not one of our 2-3 events. We are here to stay as long as it takes, as long as energy industry stays. And we have a very strong team, strong membership, a strong advisory board, which will take us forward in the uncertain world of the energy where issues abound. So there is no shortage of issues to discuss and take up.